Thank you everybody for joining me out of your busy schedule today to join me in this special event. My name is Cordelia Treblefield. I am the Deputy Project Manager with Griffin and Strong PC, which is a law and public policy consulting firm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We have been contracted by the city of Greensboro to conduct a disparity study, basically to analyze the different policies, practices, and procedures relative to minority, women, and disadvantaged-owned businesses. So a part of this disparity study is we like to collect anecdotal evidence from the local business owners within the city of Greensboro business marketplace. So this is what you all are a part of today. So yeah, I will start sharing my screen. I have a quick presentation, just like a quick overview of what this disparity study is. We did give an informational meeting maybe a few months ago, but I'm just gonna hit a few quick pointers about disparity studies if you weren't able to join that informational meeting that happened late last year. So give me a few minutes to share my screen. Okay. Okay. So as I said, we are starting the public hearings. This is the first one. We will also have one tomorrow at 5. Okay, so just a little bit about Griffin and Strong. As I stated at the beginning, we are a law and public policy consulting firm specializing in disparity research, contract compliance, program development, training, and supplier diversity consulting. Within our scope of work, we are the most qualified team in this industry. We have 5 Juris Doctorates, 2 PhD economists, a PhD in anthropology, a PhD in public policy, and a PhD in social psychology, all with expertise in disparity research. And no study conducted by Griffin and Strong has ever been challenged or overturned in court. Okay, so just a brief little overview of what a disparity study is. It's an objective research tool that determines whether there are disparities in a governmental agency's procurement activities with certain race, ethnic, and gender groups in the various industry categories. It further determines whether those disparities are statistically significant and likely caused by the race and gender status of firm owners. These studies measure disparities between the utilization and availability for race, gender, and ethnic groups. Disparity studies also utilize the acquisition of anecdotal evidence while examining current policy procedures and practices in a law review. After we do all of these analyses, then we figure out the findings of the disparity study, which will result in recommendations by the study team to remedy any discrimination or disparities that we find. The recommendations, if accepted, are intended to be implemented as policy. Okay, so just like a brief brief overview of like the purpose of why we do conduct disparity studies. They do form the legal basis, factual basis for remedial contracting programs. Disparity studies, they were established through legal cases. The first one being the City of Richmond versus J.A. Croson, which was the main case that basically started this whole disparity study. Then within this jurisdiction that North Carolina falls in, you have the HB Roe versus Tippett case, which is in the Fourth Circuit. With these disparity studies, they develop strict scrutiny for race-based programs. And in order to have this strict scrutiny, must have a factual basis and evidence and a methodology dictated by case law. And these disparity studies also tell that for these programs to be in place, they must have a narrowly tailored remedy to avoid over or under inclusion of firms. So the study process is very long. As you can see, it's many different steps to it, which is why our disparity studies usually take about a year or so over. We first start off with our legal analysis. Then we look at policy review, which is where we just interview the local government or local entities staff just to see if those policies or procedures that they have, if they are actually practicing them. And then we also look at the different policies that have been put in place. We then begin to collect and clean data from the government entity. Then we conduct a relevant market analysis leading into a utilization and threshold analysis, and then an availability analysis. And then after that, when we compare the utilization to the availability, we then determine if there are any disparities. Then we look at a private sector analysis, so just to see if there are any other factors that do play a role in discriminatory action against any minority women or disadvantaged owned business firms. Then we collect anecdotal evidence, and we also do an analysis with that evidence that we get. Then to finalize everything, we do write up a report stating everything that was found, and then if there is anything that we do find, any disparities, then we recommend different recommendations. So I do want to highlight the anecdotal evidence and community engagement aspect of the study, since this is what we're doing today is a part of that process. We start off with an informational meeting, which was already completed, basically just to let the public know that, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what you should be aware of, and letting you know what it is and how you can be involved. Then we go through and we do one-on-one anecdotal interviews with business owners based on the different race and ethnic groups that we are looking at based on the certain study. Then we do a survey of business owners, which will be live soon. Then we follow up with public hearings, which is what you all are a part of today. Then we have focus groups, which is kind of like anecdotal interviews, but it's more so in a group session. Then we conduct organizational interviews, which is where we reach out to different organizations and we have just to talk to them, the organizations that are actually hands-on with business owners, just to get their perspective of how the business marketplace is. Then if different members or individuals don't want to participate in any of these things, we do have our designated email for this study. And then we also have, you could leave comments on our social media pages as well. So right now here, this is our projected timeline. We did start in 2022 during the summer, and during from the summer to the fall is where we did start. right now we are in this period, the winter and spring period, where we will be having our survey. Then we are preparing the data that we did receive. We're preparing it. And then we have the anecdotal evidence. And then we will have a private sector analysis. Then by the fall of this year, we hope to finish up, wrapping up everything, having our statistical disparity analysis, then looking at our findings and recommendations. Then we go ahead and we draft the study report, and then we will report it to the city. So this is how you can get involved. First off, congratulations, because you are involved today. But I hope that you can be very vocal with me today. Then also look out for our survey of business owners. It has not just quite gotten launched yet. We're still working on it, but everybody that is on this call will get a direct link to that survey whenever it is launched. So be on the lookout for that. And then also you can agree to participate in any interviews that if you are contacted for an interview, you can agree to participate. And then you are attending a public hearing today. And then after the interviews are finished, you can, if you're contacted to do a focus group, please participate in that. And then once again, if you don't want to participate in any of that, you can leave comments on our designated studies website, which is greensborostudy@gspclaw.com. And I do monitor that not website, I'm sorry. That's our email. So I do monitor that regularly. So if you want to leave any comments, you can. And then this is our website right here at the top to check out any more information about the study. I know this was kind of very brief. I didn't go into too much detail because I do want to have leave time for you all to leave any comments and start a conversation with you all. And then you can connect with us on our website and on our social media pages. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to give you all that little bit of information. So before we start into the virtual public hearing session, does anybody have any questions regarding the PowerPoint?
Can we get a copy of the report?
The report. So the way how the process goes for the final report, we give it to the city. I'm
talking about the one that you just presented. I'm sorry, the PowerPoint.
Oh, I'm sorry, the presentation. Of course, yeah. If you would like a copy of the presentation, I can send it to you. We do have another one that kind of gives another bigger layout. It kind of goes through each step a little bit more in depth through the process. So if you want that one, I can send that to you as well.
I would appreciate the second one with more detail.
Okay, no problem, sir. I got you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
Cordelia, I sent you a direct message. If you could just check that for me, that'd be great.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, so what he can do is the link that was sent out on that flyer, if you could forward that to him, and then he should be able to pop up, and then I will allow him to join in this presentation, Mrs. Carmen. I don't necessarily because I'm recording on the screen. Yeah, I'm recording on the screen, so I didn't want to. I don't want to interrupt the PowerPoint or anything of that nature. Are there any more questions before we turn over into the second portion of the meeting?
I want to thank Miriam for helping me get on the on the web for this presentation. I was having difficulty logging in. I had difficulty getting the link. So thanks, Miriam.
My apologies, sir, about that. I know it can be a little difficult sometimes to work different technical logical things. So my apologies about the confusion if there were any with logging in, but I'm glad that you were able to join us today. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we're going to hop over to the virtual public hearing section. So the purpose of this hearing is to hear candid testimony about your experience, both positive and negative, either doing business or attempting to do business with the city of Greensboro. I do want to go ahead and emphasize that the positive portion of it, your feedback does not have to be negative. If you have nothing but positive remarks, please make that clear, because we also do commendations in our reports as well, to let the city know of the things that they are doing that is very well and very receptive for the community. So I do want to go to emphasize that all comments today are welcome. Everything said during this hearing will be available for public record, but GSBC's final report will not publish the names, business names, or other affiliations of individuals who give testimony. We are not soliciting questions, but commentary only. Additionally, we will not be responding to questions or commentary other than to try to gain additional clarity to your comments. And then when providing comments, please begin by stating your name and business name clearly for the record before beginning your testimony. So I hope all of that is clear with everybody. So now we will begin this virtual public hearing section. So I don't necessarily have questions. It's just open for everybody to go ahead and start off like with any comments or feedback they would like to give about the city's procurement staff. How is it working with the city getting bids or getting contracts, anything of that nature. So the floor is open for anybody who would like to speak.
You're kidding me.
I'll go ahead and start.
Thanks,
My
Becky.
name is Becky Phillips with Professional Lighting, and I wanted to bring up a Coliseum project that was in 2022 that we participated in. There were a lot of issues with the project. Number one, it was broken into two parts: the labor and then the goods. That I think, quite honestly, was specifically done so that it did not go through goal setting. The labor was bid first. When it went out, there basically was about 24 hours notice to a pre-bid. Only one company attended the pre-bid. When that was brought to the attention, then there was another email sent out to other minority and women-owned companies for pre-bid information, and they could contact the Coliseum directly. To my knowledge, no one did that, because at that point you already kind of realize what's happening. The one company that attended the pre-bid is the only bid that they received. So obviously that company was awarded the quote. The goods portion of the project was put out after the labor portion. It was a sole source bid. There were, I think, five or six quotes, bids received by the city. It was a similar situation in that in the 38 plus years that I have been doing this, when you look at a bid tabulation, you can kind of tell there's groups of companies with goods that are grouped together. They all got the same price. Then you can see outliers. And usually the outliers, that means that particular company got a different price than everyone else. That's pretty much what happened in this situation. The other thing that was really rather odd was that the quote that was submitted used a quote form from the manufacturer's representative that was dated prior to the date that the solicitation was by about a month and a half. That in itself doesn't have the look of something that's appropriate. All this was brought to the attention of the MWBE office. I actually sat down and discussed this with them. I think basically my point with this is through the years, and this is not the first time that there's been questions about some of the Coliseum project bids, is that the same thing keeps happening over and over again within certain departments and within certain areas of city projects. If there is no accountability for the failure of the program plan that we have in effect right now, then there's no incentive for that program to lead to any kind of success. So that's basically what I have to say about this. It just never seems to change, even though we bring up situations that are obviously, anyone could be able to tell that there is something wrong with how this project was started, bid, and came to conclusion. There's some other issues with it as well. Absolutely nothing happened with that. So even when the information is brought to the forefront, we still don't get anywhere. And that's just one of many things that have happened. That's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Becky Phillips, for your comments. Ruth Carmichael, you have your screen sharing. I don't know if that's visible to everybody else. It says it has started screen sharing. If you can, please stop sharing your screen. Thank you. Okay, would anybody else like to add or give any feedback?
Yes. My name is Virgil Cobb. I used to be the owner of Senda. My plan for succession was granted a couple of years ago, and now my son is the new owner, and I'm the senior advisor, and he doesn't understand that I still own 1% preferred stock. Preferred stock means that I'm still a boss. I've been in the MWB program for a very long time. We started the company in 1982. One of the things that I think that is a consistent problem that Becky even mentioned is the inconsistency of the implementation of the plan. And it really does need to be addressed, because my being the chairman of the Contracting and Supply Committee of GBL and talking with the memberships, it is tremendously frustrating and confusing because there is no consistency for the implementation of the plan. Give you a couple of examples. In goal setting, I used to be a member of the goal setting committee, and once the engineer presented to departments, there used to be input discussion from the community folks representative. There was always a couple from the coordinating committee through the MWB office. And quite frankly, now there's no community input into how you set goals, and the goal setting committee has the privilege at that particular time to discuss how do we increase the probability for minorities to participate in those difficult areas. For an example, water and sewer. Water and sewer, big dollars come out, and consistently they exclude Black folks, in particular, Black contractors. And there's no reason for that, because there is room and opportunity for participation in the area of water and sewer, big dollars. But the general contractors want to exclude and make it sound like it's impossible in terms of implementation on their part, to talk about how you now can mentor, have a mentor protege program, sharing, debundling, and those kinds of things. So the consistent aspect of implementation of the program needs to be addressed sincerely or immediately. The definitions of MWBE needs to be more clearly defined as it relates to the program plan for Greensboro, i.e., and I consider myself kind of a master of the plan, because I read it on a consistent basis. And in having conversation with Franklin Lee about a couple of things that was in the program, one being that I've expressed in several meetings, this notion of joint venture. Well, joint venture can be a joint venture, but it cannot be, per the plan now, it cannot be included, though, in the benefits of the MWBE. And that's the verbiage in the plan, because it defines that they cannot be part of the MWBE benefits. That kind of clarity needs to be addressed, because, again, when I talk to my cohorts, there is confusion all over the place about what the plan really is. And the problem that you got that creates this notion is that there is constant modification of the plan without any explanation why you are modifying. And many times, I think, it's my opinion, that Griffith and Strong has said several times that the plan implementation is not in compliance from the legal aspects that you have spoken about. And again, the plan is an ordinance that has been approved, whereas, by City Council. So it's really confusing for us in the marketplace trying to be a participant in the dollar expenditures from the city of Greensboro when there's no consistency. And if you modify, change, there's no communication in terms of why there's changes being made. Those, by the way, I said from the very beginning, and I'm using, some 30-some plus years in the business, the Greensboro plan is a great plan. I have been in several states, and I will put the Greensboro plan against anybody. The problem that we got, though, is not the plan, it's the implementation of the plan. Oh, by the way, I did send in a request for an interview, and I haven't heard back from anyone, so I want to put that on notice as we speak.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your comments, and you will be getting an email soon about an interview. I just want to gain a little bit of clarification on what you said, basically saying that the Greensboro plan is just the lack of clarification. It's not basically clear, correct? And then with that being said, you saying that, would you say that all departments are necessarily having an issue with, because I know you talked about water and sewer, would you say all departments are like that for you in your experience?
Yeah, let me clarify. What was your first question again? Because you were saying that I was saying that the plan was not clear. The plan is very clear. I think that the confusion comes in because the powers to be modified deviate from the plan. So therefore, if there's no consistency for implementations to the general population of contractors.
Okay, got it.
Now, you were talking about different departments. I highlighted, and the answer to your question is the departments that I deal with, they are consistent in terms of modifying the program, whether it's inspections, whether it's engineering, through water sewer. It's consistent across the board with the departments that I deal with. I don't deal with even parks and recs. When you start to talk about that particular aspect, yes, they are inconsistent in terms of implementation of the plan. And as Becky pointed out, the biggest culprit who has been, behaving accordingly for at least a decade is the Coliseum. Those folks make it very clear that they do not support and endorse the MWB program. They think that they run their own, and so be it.
Okay. Thank you so much for your clarification. I guess just to piggyback off of your comment and Ms. Phillips' comment, based off of them being inconsistent with the implementation, and then you also talked about the exclusion of Black contractors. Would you say that, just to clarify, in terms of certain companies or firms getting contracts and awards, would you say maybe there's like an informal network possibly, or something in that nature that could add on into the exclusion of Black contractors?
Is that a general question or a question for me?
That was a question for you.
Oh, it is obvious, like contractors who've been at the game for a while. And I think that, going back to maybe 3 or 4 disparity studies, and the wording, and I'm going to paraphrase, is that the logical conclusion for a continuing low value, 1 and 2% of a $700 million budget, how it's being so consistently at that level year after year is only one explanation. It's not by happenstance, that's for sure. So there is a game of exclusion systematically for Black contractors and other minorities participating in the program. It's not a consequential event that when you have like a summit or the other CM at risk, they have a program that programs who are they going to use as the CM at risk subs. So you can go through the exercise of pretending to be a participant, but by design, it's just not going to happen. I used to be part of the pre-qualification committee, and I used to debate with those guys on a regular basis, is that the pre-qualification requirements that you are agreeing to is exclusionary in terms of small minority business participation. It's totally talking about financing and all those other kinds of things rather than experience. So now you go to the marketplace, you're excluding a large segment of the participating market merely because the pre-qualifications excluded them systematically. It just wasn't by happenstance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cobb, for your comments. This is really good stuff so far. Would anybody else like to add any feedback? Remember, it is positive and negative, and or doesn't matter.
There's got to be more folks out there, I hope.
Yeah, there is a big turnout on here. I'm sure everybody didn't just log on just to not say anything. So it would be great to get a little feedback from everybody because we, Griffin and Strong, we are very considerate of the public, which is why this is we make sure we put a stress on making sure that we reach out to local business owners because these policies and these procedures, this is your marketplace essentially where you are working at. So it's very viable for us to hear from you all.
My name is Carmen Arroyo. I'm with All Systems Restored HVAC and Electrical. Regarding the policies, I know that one of our challenges is for the policies and the goal setting to identify opportunities for minority contractors to participate in projects outside of actually self-performing the work. And what I mean by that is allowing the goal setting committee, the city of Greensboro, and whoever else the decision makers are to afford or at least be open-minded to opportunities where participation can be counted for minority contractors being a protege on a project as well as performing. I think that in of itself should be observed as an opportunity for minorities because with us being so much smaller than the larger GCs, it definitely gives us an opportunity to develop our personnel a lot better than what is currently happening. Regarding participation and goal setting in itself, I'm gonna have to second Mr. Cobb's comment regarding a lot of the feedback he gave, dealing with the fact that we do a lot of work in wastewater treatment. We also deal with a lot of various general contractors. And for us, we seem to get a lot more value from participating with a local contractor, Samet Corporation, to be just to be transparent for myself as a group that we don't usually get from other general contractors. And like I said, we've been in the wastewater treatment division, I'm going to say probably for a little over 12 years. And although Samet does not participate that's not their market, they as a group in its entirety have offered All Systems Restored numerous opportunities to grow and develop over the years on various projects, from protege to to different training opportunities. And that's not something you really see. And again, there's several GCs that we do business with in the Greensboro area, 2 and 3, 4 projects at a time with them over the past 4 to 5 years. And the only opportunity we're ever afforded is just a, hey, can we get your number? And not even a commitment or a partnership. So I'd like to see the city of Greensboro really push back on a lot of these contractors who often are bidding this work and really are just, saying, hey, yeah, we contacted them, and really nail down, confirming with us as minority contractors, have they really reached out to us? Did they do it within a timely fashion? We often get solicitations with 10 business day turnaround, which for us, I mean, I know the statute may say that needs to be, that is standard or acceptable, but again, you're dealing with smaller businesses where the GCs are afforded sometimes 30 days to even put together a number. So to ask a smaller contractor to bid work within 10 days and have a quality proposal in is a challenge.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Carmen, for your comments. Just to clarify, basically you're saying that these contractors, they often communicate, but they never follow up. So basically they're not really following the MWBE efforts in trying to contract with an MWBE firm, basically.
Well, what's being considered contact is a blast email. So if you consider that truly trying to participate or get, minority participation on a project, a blast email to me shouldn't be acceptable. I mean, on the first go round of sending out, you know, hey, we're offering this project out for bid. Okay, I could see a blast email, but afterwards, if you're not getting any participation, sending out a second blast email or just keep sending them out on a weekly shouldn't be acceptable for what they call a good faith effort.
Mhm. Okay, thank you so much. What was the business that you're with again, Ms. Carmen?
All systems restored, HVAC and electrical.
Okay.
If I may stack on Carmen's comment very briefly, Smith Row is an example of robocalling for solicitation. They'll send you out a robocall and asking you, are you going to participate? Yes or no. And that's just to check the box. I make the recommendation, and very strong recommendation, that all of us, I'm saying contractors and subcontractors in particular, all of us, which I do, ask for a preview of scope of work, and that really back directly to the person who's doing the estimating. And interestingly enough, more than 75% of the time when you ask for a scope review with the estimator, you never get the call back though for that scope review. That should be one of the criterias for them to be answering or checking the box of, did you reach out? Just a phone call. I mean, one person called me, I told the folks that I don't change tires and stuff. Well, I mean, that was kind of trying to have folks to get in line of what we do. And that particular person didn't have a clue what my scope of work was, zero. That's a major glitch in this whole good faith definition.
I second that, but I also like to add on to that, Mr. Cobb, that I would like to see that the City of Greensboro's MWBE office also be versed in that as well. So to assist with identifying participation so that the appropriate subcontractors can participate.
And I agree with that on the goods end of things, because I consistently get, and I started putting them into a separate folder so I could count them, an enormous number of solicitations for electrical contractor bids. We are a good supplier and we do not supply labor. And when every once in a while, when I actually respond or talk to somebody and I request that they break the goods out, then that's always a no-go. But yes, it's a similar comment to what Virgil and Carmen have said, that they're just doing that to, meet the good faith requirement. And so that part of the program plan definitely needs to be tightened up significantly. On that, the other thing is on the situation that I brought up, a significant or enough time to actually process a bid if it's basically published. In the situation that we had, or that I saw, and then obviously we weren't going to bid on the labor part, that the pre-bid information was not sent out at all. When it was sent out, there was literally, I think I wrote it down, 7 or 8 days before the bid was due. And the same thing happens with goods. Some of the times, if it's a complicated process, you're going to need more than a couple of days to process your bid. And so it's, there aren't people, especially with smaller businesses, obviously, we don't have a big enough staff to have people just sitting around doing that all day. So, yeah, I mean, I think there are some issues with timing and how long we have to process information.
So with that being said, what would you say is a feasible enough time for small contractors to return a response?
And again, I'm saying this from a goods end of things, and I would defer to someone who actually does labor. Generally, I would say 10 working days, which is 2 weeks. So not 10 days with a 3-day holiday in the middle, but 2 weeks.
This is Carmen from All Systems Restored. I'm going to say minimum 10 calendar days,
Yeah.
Business days, excuse me. But I'd really like to see it at 3 calendar days. I'm sorry, not 3, 15 calendar days. We're on the labor end.
Okay. Thank you so much for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to add on? If you
Yes,
want.
I would.
Okay. Mhm.
We all collectively have identified all of these problems that Greensboro has. And I've been saying this for years. When are we gonna get together, get some money to put together and get a lawyer and go after Greensboro? I've heard for years, wait. If we don't hold them to this and make them move in this direction, we always gonna be sitting back talking about this 10 years from now. When we've been talking about it, and the movement is moving, and this, that, and the other, and we have no muscle behind what we're saying. And if we don't ever get to that point, we always gonna be here talking about what we ain't got.
Yes, sir. Mr. Kelvin, can you state your business for me?
All Systems Restored.
Okay.
Kelvin, when you gonna come see me?
I was on the way there.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kelvin, for your comments. Is there anybody else that would like to add anything to the conversation? If you want to piggyback off of somebody else's comment, maybe give examples. And also, if there's any positive feedback, we do look for that as well. Also, if you have any recommendations or anything of that nature. So for the folks who haven't spoke yet, is there anybody that would like to come to the floor and speak? I don't want to have to start calling on names.
You know, one of the things that again, this is Virgil Cobb, one of the things that I kind of gleaned from this occasion is that, and I don't want to be, real negative, but what this demonstrates to me is that we who are members of the MWB program, that we have done a terrible job of engaging our constituents. And our constituents are the Black contractors and suppliers of goods and services. And I glean this because right now is a moment that all of us should be on a unified basis of how do we move the needle financial. We've even, GBL has even done an impact study. We have data that demonstrates unless we make some changes, we're impacting large sectors of communities. You can't hire folks and have them to be vital participants in a community broke. Contractors hire, especially Black contractors, we hire folks that look like us in our own neighborhood. And my point in saying that and just wrapping it, I don't want to preach, is that what this demonstrates to me is that the MWBE office, they've got to reach out to their constituents. I've never seen anyone from the MWBE office on one of my jobs. And I'm sure that Carmen can say the same thing representing Calvin Curry with All Systems Restored and other folks. I mean, the environments on some of these jobs, they said, I don't want Black folks on my job, but I have to be there because I checked the box and I got the money. That kind of environment is not conducive to growth and development and building scale. You know, like Calvin is talking about, he's been out here for, 12, 14 years. He should be the general contractor rather than being a sub with some of these folks. He's been doing, water and sewer work and electrical work for years, but he still has to go in and participate. Anyway, I think that the MWB office needs to have a certain staff folks to talk about going and visit some of the jobs. We have some folks right now who will put down, and Carmen said this, will put you down on a contract as MBE. They will get the work, and someplace along the line, which I experienced with Mainline, they dismiss you from the contract. No communication whatsoever that you've been dismissed from the contract. And the only time that you know that they're being dismissed from the contract, by the way, is that the MWBE office, Shaddy, sends out a notification for you to close out the job. I'm saying, what do you mean talking about close out the job? I'm sitting here waiting to, those kinds of things. The MWBE office has to be more engaged in the field and monitoring of the contracts, or we're just, like Calvin says, man, we just need to take it to the attorneys and say, why aren't you implementing the plan? There should be more people right now on this call that talks about the program and what it needs to be done. It's not going to happen by happenstance. You got to work at it. Boy, my system just quit.
No, we still hear you, Mr. Regular.
Geez. Whoa. I thought that they had walked out on me.
No, we're still here. We're still here. I'm just writing. I'm trying to take down everything that you're saying.
Well, Cordelia, while you're taking those notes down, Mr. Cobb, I will say I did see for the first time in a while someone from the MWE office. I want to say it was Allison attending a outreach event at the Samet Corporation probably about 6 weeks ago, if I can remember correctly. She did mention at that meeting at the end when we were all just networking, she did mention that the city of Greensboro was putting out a posting for trying to implement what they call a field inspector for the minority for the MWB office. I believe the intention of that right now is to have what you said, someone from the MWB office present physically in the field to observe, to inspect work, to ensure that they are participating. Now, I'm not sure how, where they're at in that stage, but I do know that that's what was conveyed to me right out of Allison's mouth at a meeting. So I will say that's what she was told. I was told was in the pipeline. So I agree with you though. We as contractors deal with a lot of issues out in the field during the projects, and sometimes by the time it gets to the lap of the MWBE office, it's so far gone because we've done, and I'm going to speak for ourselves. We've tried to do our due diligence in following chain of command, following the appropriate written and verbal communications as much as possible, but still the fight doesn't really get involved. They don't get involved until it's probably way too far into the process. So I second that on that.
I'll bring up another point and kudos to all the contractors out there that work very hard. But there is an enormous amount of opportunity in the city for goods and other services. And that part of the program plan and professional services especially, that is almost ignored. We're like the stepchildren of the program. because all the focus has always been on the subcontractor program in construction. So I would, really like to see some more emphasis and push in those areas. There are a lot of companies that could participate with city purchasing in different areas if they were just, included. I do think that some of this, and both for today, and there's not that many people on the call and that are willing to speak, is that through the years, this has been a long and arduous road. Some of us have been on it for a long time. People have just kind of given up, and it's just not like worth it to work with the city. It's too hard.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of effort. And it's one of those things that I think that, the PR of the program and what hopefully is, the goals of having an MWBE office and a program plan and all that is just kind of goes on deaf ears after a while. I mean, you only try for so long and then you just kind of say, screw it, I'm going to move on to something else that's easier.
Amen.
So, Miss Becky Phillips, would you say that Greensboro, the city of Greensboro, needs to offer more bids, or there should be like a broader general scope of work for certain things?
Yes and yes. I think that there is some over the past 4 or 5 years, quite honestly, there's been a lot of changes in the MWBE office and city management overall. Since I've been more specifically working with the MWBE office, both on the coordinating committee and now on the advisory committee, there have been 4 assistant city managers, 3 city managers, a multitude of different interim managers that are all overseeing the program. That in itself has had, there's been things that we're running with, and then it stops, and then it's not a focus anymore. And then we run this other direction, and then we have a change, and it's not a focus anymore. So there's definitely some issues with that. There's also places that I've been known to call hidey holes, that there's like little hiding places, and purchase cards, P cards are one of them. And there's a lot of purchasing put on purchase cards. That was, I think we tried to tend to that at one point in time. We've kind of let that go again, just from things that are, as I said, outside of the construction zone, so to speak, more maintenance, purely maintenance services or educational services, things through HR, things for, food. Some of that is being tended to, some of it not so much. So I just think there's a multitude of different areas that, that the city could participate with minority and women-owned business enterprise if they actually looked.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, the time it is 1 o'clock, but I will stay on this call longer for anyone else who would like to speak. So yeah, I'm still taking comments and everything. If anybody else would like to add in to the conversation. Specifically those who haven't said anything just quite yet.
They like to preach in church, call their names.
I did see Miss Ruth Carmichael, you did go unmuted. Is there something you would like to say? Ruth Carmichael, I did see you did unmute your mic. Is there anything you would like to add? And also everybody, please remember that if you have any positive comments, that's good too. So Ruth Carmichael, if you're saying anything, I cannot hear you.
Is everything okay now?
I can hear you a little. You're breaking up just a little bit, but you're coming in now.
You can yes, baby. Oh, okay. Well, like I said, this I'm in business now about a year and a half, enjoying the end of in everything transportation. I've listened to a lot of comments. This being one of the hearings I'm on, and like I said, the program
You're
itself,
still
I'm
breaking
learning a
up.
lot as I go along. One of the things that yeah. Is it clear now?
It's coming through a little bit better. Try speaking again.
Okay. Yeah, because it's been breaking up quite a bit. But I'll just make it quick. I do know, like with the program, I've been to now a lot, MW and Jackson, and trying to navigate and learn all the different aspects of the business. I did have one opportunity to participate in one possible bid, but it was like a lot of the things that it was looking for. I wasn't necessarily able to even be considered in that manner.
Okay, yeah, you're going out again. If you want to, you can type what you're saying in the comments. Or you can shoot an email if it's of length, because you're going out really badly.
Okay, I shoot the email.
Okay, no worries. And then I'll go ahead and
I
drop.
shoot an email.
Okay. That's also the email I just dropped inside of the chat. For anybody who doesn't feel comfortable with speaking on this platform, you can email the Greensboro study at gspclaw.com. Once again, I check and I monitor that email daily. So you are free to email that account. And here's also my work email as well. Either or. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to add on to the call? Mr. Christopher Alston. I'm just gonna start calling names. Mr. Christopher Alston, would you like to say anything?
No, ma'am, I don't have anything to add. I haven't done any business with the city of Greensboro. Um, I'll keep attending the meetings, but as soon as I do have anything, I'll update everyone with any progress or disadvantages that I have seen.
Okay, if you don't mind me asking, why, is there a reason why you haven't done any business or attempted to do business with the city?
So I do most of my business with the federal government, with DLA, with the Department of Logistics, and I haven't just gotten around to Guilford County yet. I have been intending to do some business with them. After speaking with a couple of people that I have with logistics down at Guilford County Police Department, and I don't know where their bids are currently listed at. But speaking with them, I just haven't looked into it further. It's just the federal government is just easier to deal with. Surprisingly.
And the price is right.
Yep.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your business, Mr. Alston?
The name of it is CA Tactical. I just sell firearms and accessories and everything like that.
Okay. Thank you so much
Yes,
for
ma'am.
your comments. Gwen Carter, would you like to add anything? Okay, Kenny McDowell, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, this is Kenny. I work for the city, so I'm just listening to get it firsthand. That's all. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Odysseus Chavez. I'm sorry if I did not pronounce your name correctly, but is there anything you would like to add to the conversation?
No, you got it. You got it correct. It's Odysseus Chavis.
Chavis.
We're general contractors here in Greensboro. My pops, I work for a small family-owned business. My pop's he's had his license for many years. But no, I won't add anything now. I've kind of been instructed not to say anything today, but I will be reaching out to you in private to share some stuff.
All right, thank you.
I'm not gonna say private. I'll be reaching out to I'll be reaching out to you later for some
Okay,
info.
no
How you doing,
problem.
Chavis?
How you doing, Mr. Cobb?
I'm good, bro.
Hey, Becky, we'll be seeing you in a little while. We are, me and my father, we participate with the city MWB advisory committee, and we're also participate with the goal setting committee. I was gonna input some stuff that respond to what Mr. Virgil said, but Miss Carmine hit it. She responded before I could say anything. But we have also, obviously, we meet with Allison and the MWBE committee monthly. But she did, all I was going to input was that she did say that they were looking to hire for that position that Mr. Virgil was hitting on, for somebody to be, kind of do inspections, stuff like that. I kind of suggested that maybe a progress, because being a GC, we have progress meetings on all of these jobs. It's typical to have a progress meeting, to meet with the owner and project manager with the city and stuff like that. So we did kind of just throw out there that they might, as the MWBE office, they might want to start having somebody that, one, is familiar with construction and know what's going on, to be aware, like Mr. Virgil was hitting on, and two, to at least be there, you know, and a progress meeting would be a good way for them to get involved, to know what's going on these projects. But that was already covered, you know, Virgil and Miss Carmen, Miss Becky, they had already covered that. But yeah, Miss Allison hit on that last meeting, so.
Okay.
But that's all, but thank you though.
You're welcome, no problem. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. Mr. Phil Barnhill, do you have anything you would like to add?
No, I'm with East Greensboro Now, which is a nonprofit economic development CDC. And I'm on listening really because we are a supporter and advocate for minority businesses.
Okay, what was the name for the organization again?
East Greensboro Now.
If you don't mind, could I contact you personally for an organizational interview?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and it looks like the last person that I didn't call that doesn't have is not working with GSBC at the moment. Looks like Mr. or Mrs. Broadvan. Sorry, once again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering names. Would you like to add anything to the call, to the conversation?
No, I'm just a citizen, just interested in what's going on within the city. But thank you though.
No problem. Okay, this is last call for anyone else who would like to add anything to this conversation. We could go ahead and wrap it up. But is there anyone else who would like to add anything before we go ahead and log off and conclude the meeting? Alrighty, well, it looks like that is it for everybody. Once again, I want to go ahead and say, I did drop the 2 emails in the call, my personal work email and the designated Greensboro study email. So please feel free to use those emails, pass those along to other business owners or firms who you would know that would love to speak about attempting or doing business with the city of Greensboro. There will be another public hearing called tomorrow at 5. So if there's other business owners that didn't get a chance to come to this one today, there is one tomorrow. So please feel free to spread the word about that one tomorrow. And then also please check out our website. And then Mr. Virgil, I will be sending the presentation to you that you asked for.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then as I did mention, the survey of business owners that will be launching soon. And everybody that was on this call will get a direct email with that link inside. So please feel free to look out for that email. We're just finishing up the last finishing touches on it. So that is all that I have for everybody. So once again, I want to thank everybody for coming on this call. Everything that you all have said has been very, very beneficial towards our study process. And that will conclude today's meeting. I hope everybody has a great day today.
Have a good day.
You too.
Have a good rest of your week, guys.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome.